We're back. We're going to be talking about waterboarding. Steve Byrne, thank you for coming on. You've been on the show before. Explain what a SERE instructor is, S-E-R-E instructor.
Just a little about me. I'm retired military. I was an intelligence interrogator my entire military career. SERE instructor is survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. It is a class that is given to mainly Special Forces troops and Air Force pilots, things like that. It basically teaches you all the things that you need to know, exposes you to the idea of what it's like to be a POW, be captured, and all that.
So now talk about your opinion on waterboarding. You hear a lot of people really, speaking about waterboarding as torture that should not be done against the Geneva Convention. What is your opinion firsthand on waterboarding? How do you feel about it? Should the U.S. military be allowed to use waterboarding on terrorists?
If they are terrorists and declared under the Geneva Convention as unlawful combatants, and if they already provided for limitations, which there's a significant amount of limitations on the use of it, I think it's completely acceptable to use it. It's not.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Okay, so if those people were doing the exact same thing to our guys, is that completely legal also?
Which is what is done in the SERE course.
No, I didn't say what is done.
No, what I'm saying
I said, is that okay?
Yeah.
So, in other words, if we got tape back from Iraq and you had these people waterboarding our guys, you would get on national television and say they have every right to do that.
Of course not. I would do exactly what's happening now, which
What's
is
that?
I would develop an extremely viable propaganda campaign to say how terrible and degrading it is and everything else.
So what I'm saying is, you just said to him, when we do it to others, it's okay. But you just said to me, when someone's doing it to us, oh, I'm going to get on every television and say that it's not okay. So what are you, a hypocrite?
No, that's what they're doing.
Because you can't take both sides.
Yes, you can.
Come on.
No, it's very simple. It's very simple.
Okay, it's all right if we do it, but it's not all right if they do it.
First off, there are legal differences that are going on here. Okay, that's number one. Number two.
Because we're the United States, right?
No.
Our legal and their legal are two different legals.
Exactly.
So your legal in the United States is okay, but their legal is wrong, right?
Okay, first off, they don't have a legal. They're
How
a
the hell
terrorist.
you know they don't have a legal?
They're a terrorist
What
organization.
country in America don't have a legal?
They're a terrorist organization. If you are talking
They still have their own
right,
legal
Tony, let's
inside the country?
If you are talking about a country doing it, then you are talking about one of two. You're talking about at least two or more high contracting parties, which does fall under the Geneva Convention. It makes them lawful combatants, and then you must treat them under the terms of the Geneva Convention.
So in other words, because they don't fall in the country, you can do any damn thing you want
Let's give
to
Brian
them.
his.
Not at all.
Steve, let's give Brian his say, because I see him getting red like a thermometer hitting 103. Brian, what's your take on the whole waterboarding issue?
I mean, Steve sounds like a lawyer. Are you a lawyer?
No, not at all.
Okay, you must be from the Bush administration.
No, not.
Okay, well,
I mean, do you
they
notice?
they spend accordingly anyway. Waterboarding is
Torture.
not right. It's torture. It's bad. It's evil. It's not reflective of what our country stands for.
I
Well,
just
let
have
me
a
ask
question.
a clarifying
go
question
ahead.
real quick. Okay, on that. If, let me see, I'm not afraid of snakes, okay, at all.
Snakes.
Right. If somebody puts me in a room and releases a bunch of snakes in there, and they're not poisonous, okay, I'd have a great time. Now, somebody who's deathly afraid of snakes, if you do that to them, okay, they're going to be climbing the walls. And that type of thing, there's a distinction there between the idea of psychological torture and physical torture.
well,
What is torture
The thing
depends on
is,
the individual.
Waterboarding,
This is so
you
heady.
are physically holding someone down,
Yep.
and you are physically putting water in their mouth.
Right.
That is physical contact.
Right.
Throwing a bunch of snakes in a room is psychological. You did not touch that person.
Then I'll take
that
it
is
and
not
I'll
torture.
put a tarantula on you and
No,
you're deathly
but
afraid
what
of
I'm saying to you
spiders.
is,
It makes no
what you're
difference.
saying is, you can put your hands on him, but he can't put his hands on you.
A lot of it depends on the law
Because
aspect.
you're in the United States, and he's just out there in the
No.
boonies doing whatever he wants, right?
No, what I am is I am a person who has legitimate cause to be sitting there talking to this person because he
Because you're in the United States.
No, because he has been classified as
By who? You.
No.
You classified him.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. The United States is not classifying who is and who is not a terrorist.
The United States goes and it says, and everybody in the world has agreed with this. Okay?
Oh, wow.
The United States
you
goes.
just lied on national television because I don't agree.
I haven't
and
finished
I'm
what I'm
part of
saying.
everybody.
Tony,
I haven't finished what I've
let
been
Steve
saying.
finish what he's saying.
Okay, everybody got together and agreed in 1975, and they signed this little thing called the Torture Convention. Okay, it covers specifically situations which fall under. Okay, it's a UN charter. Okay, it's been updated, it's revalidated, all that. It's a UN charter. We signed it with a couple of exceptions, and the exceptions are legit. Okay, that we aren't going to do this. Okay, so we said we're not going to be doing any of this. Now, what you're saying, when we're talking about terrorists, it's okay for them to torture us. It's okay for them to put us on live TV, cut our heads off.
Show me one example of them torturing us. I give you Abu Ghraib. I can give you Guantanamo Bay. I can give you a million examples of us torturing them.
We're not torturing
them.
Show me
one example of them torturing us.
They get better medical care than the U.S. military gets. What are you talking about? We're torturing them.
Us.
Where are we torturing them?
We're torturing them.
Waterboarding is torture.
Okay, I'll give you two reporters.
Well,
you can get them both on
abuse,
YouTube. You can get them both on YouTube.
Sound.
Two reporters who have been waterboarded by the U.S. interrogation,
What about rendition? What about rendition?
Rendition is a completely different issue.
No,
it has nothing to do with torture.
It is, because we send prisoners to foreign countries so they can be tortured there.
That is against the conventions that we have signed.
It's against, but we do it. Okay?
No, we don't.
But by the way, American citizens are subject to the same treatment. It's not just enemy combatants. Some of these enemy combatants. By the way, I see you use the word. You used unlawful combatants. How about enemy combatants?
Those are the classifications that everybody in the world that decided they wanted to sign the Geneva Convention got together.
They rule against the military. The chain of command is responsible for this. The military is just as responsible as well as the CIA and the government in power, the administration.
Responsible for what?
For abusing human beings.
Okay, so we're just taking the word abuse and substituting it for the word torture.
Torture.
Okay, that is what I'm trying to get you to understand is that torture is what you define.
This is a lawyer. This is.
Let's hold on. Brian, Tony, what's your point?
This seems to me as if we are in a situation of do as I say, not as I do. You can do.
You do not fight a war by the golden rule.
Okay, but the thing is, if you're going to make them do it, you have to do it too.
We're not making them do it. We are doing.
You want to say that it's a war, but from what I understood,
you do fight
wars
a war.
are fought against countries.
You do fight a war according to the golden rule.
What's the
America is supposed to fight a war. It's not supposed to fight a war at all.
Excuse me, if I am dropping nuclear weapons on a country, how can that be covered by the idea of the golden rule?
That's another point. We shouldn't be having nuclear weapons.
Oh, we shouldn't be having any kind of war. I agree that.
My misconception here.
We should not have wars.
My misconception here is very simple.
The world isn't like that.
You want to call this a war, but they're not a country. So legally, it's not a war because you can't fight a war against someone that's not a country. It's a combat, but it's not a war.
Okay, Tony, let Stephen answer.
That is the difference between a lawful and an unlawful combatant.
So how do you fight a war against someone that's not a country?
You tell me, what is the difference between warfare and law enforcement?
You're answering a question with a question. You didn't answer the question.
Bring it out.
How do you fight a war against someone who's not a country?
Because warfare simply means you're classifying them as a group that, as a group, without a trial, they are an enemy. That is what warfare is.
No, that is not warfare.
Yes, it is.
We have groups in America that we have had to fight against. We didn't call it a war.
That would be called an insurgency. And it is a type of war.
So
there actually is a Geneva Convention that covers it.
I have a question for you. When it comes to waterboarding, how close does the person come close to death?
No.
Or is that not even a consequence of waterboarding? Is it just for extracting information?
When you get into the specifics of waterboarding, okay, it does very much so play on